And we have one more question to address, which is how to know when thoughts are coming from the consciousness or from the mind. But isn't the initial thought of what feels right to do now is also coming from the mind, or is with its past experiences, desires, and likings? And how to know which thought is coming from the consciousness and from the mind is usually not even a appropriate question to ask, in my opinion, because how do you know that there's any thoughts coming from consciousness? How do we come with that thought? There's lots and lots and lots and lots of thoughts coming from the mind. Maybe all of them. Now, which thought tells you that there's any thoughts coming from consciousness? And is that thought itself to be trusted? Maybe that thought itself is coming from the mind, and why would then you consider there's anything coming from consciousness or anything of a thought experience? So now, if that to be the case, that there would be thoughts from consciousness, thoughts from the mind, that would allow many other thoughts to indicate that you can actually get better thoughts if you get thoughts from consciousness, right? But the fact is that all of the thoughts are stimulated from the mind. The thoughts are a mental pattern that is really just mind stuff. There's no thoughts coming from consciousness, and if anyone is saying that, I don't even know how do they come to that kind of conclusion, because their mind is very clever enough to somehow convince them that there's thoughts from consciousness. If you come to bring this into experience, and the experience is such that there's thoughts of the mind and there's consciousness of those thoughts. Now, where the experience of thoughts from consciousness arise? Another thought from the mind comes and says, as if that could be so. And yet I would really not go that way, because the only experience that we have of consciousness is observing, seeing, being conscious. Now we have experience of the mind, thoughts. So let's leave those two as they are. Do not claim that there's any thoughts coming from consciousness, because they don't. The only closest thing that would arise from consciousness is insight, and that's the most close to a thought perhaps that you would consider, but even that itself is not a thought. It's an experience, insightful experience, which provides you a spacious seeing, more elevated seeing, but nothing like a thought. So how do you know that even, what was the follow-up question to that? How do you, but isn't that initial thought what feels right to do now is also from the mind with the past experiences and desires? Of course it is. The initial thought, there's nothing coming from consciousness as initial thought. It's all the thoughts are coming from mind. So even how to act from now, as anybody would refer, start acting from this very moment. And yes, your action may still be influenced by the likings and desires and conditioned from the past programming of mind state, and there's no initial thought in consciousness other than initial ability to see and observe. And that is something that you can come to experience right now. Just observe what is the experience of consciousness and what is the experience of mind. And you'll see the distinct boundary between mind and consciousness, because they're not one and the same experience as if mind would suggest you to be so. And if you were to do that, you may very quickly come to seeing that there is no thoughts from consciousness. So make it into your experience instead of claiming any other thoughts beyond that.